Hello, this is Chase Pounds. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing about women in possession. I know this topic is pretty late. I was trying to do it for Halloween. I know it's several days past Halloween, but I still find it an interesting topic to discuss about um what brought me to the subject was because I was been watching a couple of movies about possession, especially like old movies, really mostly 70s kind of trope Exorcist movies about possession, use possession. As I was watching much of October, and some movies I watched was the movie The Possessed. I remember Possessed, 1977. The there's another movie called The Possessed. It came out in 1975. It's a foreign film, also known as Demon Witch Child, I think. Then there on National Halloween Day, I watched Kathy's Curse. Then I watched Abby, Abby, like a black exploitative version of The Exorcist. And one thing I kind of already knew this, but in these movies, usually really just goes back to, I guess, folklore. Usually, most of these movies, one thing have in common, most of these possession movies I see, is that they usually do involve a female, a woman. It's usually a woman or a young kid. Some use typically that's in who's vulnerable, involved in these tales or stories about possession, demonic possession, as well as spiritual possession too. It's usually female, and this was I always, I guess, knows the movies and kind of, I know this is typical topic that, I shouldn't say I discussed it often, but being a Christian, I'm not sure this is probably the best topic to be discussing, but as part of my guilty pleasures in movies, I guess, I kind of similar with body swapping movies. I kind of favor if it's a movie usually has like a female possession. I don't know I don't know how to explain it, but it just seems like it seems more, I guess, a fetish I have. I guess it's kind of similar with vampire folklore. People find fetishes out of, I guess, vampirism and female vampires is kind of part of I guess sexually appealing. I don't know if that's the right way of putting this, but I guess in some cases it can be applied with this because possession is really to be to some sexual appealing. And I read this on Reddit about this. The people say similar, it's like a similar thing, same things, but this is something that's not really, uncommon. I think it has its roots going back to ancient times, going all the way back to biblical times, about this associated with women, I guess, being, how you would say, vulnerable or just tempted into the powers and or just tempted into the powers, the grip of evilness, demonic corruption in society, and particularly vulnerability to demonic forces. This could have its roots going back to as I said, biblical times, with the story of creation, particular story of Adam and Eve, the first two humans on earth. As you all know, the story of Adam and Eve, they were in the Garden of Eden. God told told both Adam and Eve not to eat from the tree of knowledge. And unfortunately, a snake withered into the garden, which is supposed to be Satan disguised as a snake. He somehow seduces Eve into eating from the tree of knowledge, and then Eve persuades Adam to eat the fruit, the forbidden fruit. And with that, the consequences of the consequences is that the fall of humanity from this original sin, the tree of knowledge. And I guess that's where I guess this association with women being tempted into sin, into evil, I guess, stems from. And there are stories in the Bible about possession. I think one story that comes to mind of the female possession is Mary Magdalene. I believe she was possessed. And really, in my opinion, it really this association with women being tempted into sin, into the, I guess, tempted by Satan, the devil, I think, and demons in general, I think really to take on during between the Middle Ages and the Puritan the Middle Ages and the colonial times, Puritan times, is with the Inquisitions, the Inquisitions and witch hunts, witch trials, and witch trials, but witch trials, as many women were often, it was common for women were the usual suspects of accusations of witchcraft, sorcery, and pacts with the devil. And it was even reflected in many manuals, witchcraft Bibles, witchcraft manuals, witchcraft, I guess, manuals, particularly one called the Mount Marathon, which was known as the Hammer Witches, to often force this perception that women were vulnerable to the temptations of the devil, were tempted into evil, and the evil and an easy prey for the devil, as I heard in some documentaries. That's how they thought of it, as particularly it could be both young, were considered particularly the most vulnerable particularly young girls, and as well as elderly people too. People who were considered like marginalized. Considered marginalized groups within the community. Often they were blamed for things such as crop failure, sicknesses, diseases, financial issues, etc., or anything paranormal or unexplained at the time. But as a result of these fears and concerning mass hysteria at the time, it wasn't uncommon with among thousands of people would be burned at stake. Mostly women as well as young girls were executed, tortured, and executed for false claims of witchcraft, heresies, and pact with the devils, which in many cases, by today's standards, were probably false. 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 And this occurred with all across Europe, mostly in places like France or Germany, the UK, as well as spreading to the New World in places in Salem, Massachusetts, on the East Coast of the United States, and this would, of course, decline towards the 18th century with the belief in science. Belief in, lying attitudes of science and rationalization. Though it wouldn't be until the 70s that you would see a resurgence of the 1970s that you would see a resurgence in this let's just say this myth would persist again in the 1970s, mainly due to pop culture in the realm of horror films, as they became prevalent during this period, with three main defining occult films, demonic horror films of the 70s were Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, and The Omen. And one thing most of these movies had in common, as I said, were they all featured women, vulnerable to supernatural, to demonic forces. But we're saying that prone to the vulnerable to the powers of the devil in one form or another. The thing interesting, but particularly with The Exorcist, was that Exorcist, though, is that really the true story of The Exorcist is really a story of a boy from Maryland, near Maryland, and half of this incident took place here in St. Louis, in my very town of St. Louis, Missouri. I think downtown at Lexington Brothers Hospital at St. Louis University. St. Louis, Missouri, though for some reason, even though the true story involved a boy, his identity was changed to for the book and the movie adaptations as a little girl. I always wondered exactly why this was done, and I think either it was because to protect his identity, one of the boy. Then also I guess having the girl, involved in involved in such a situation, I guess, seemed more sensationalized. It would, I guess, stand out. Be more remembered more don't know the right words, explain it would be more sensationalized, more I guess leave his mark, I guess in film history, which it did, which this movie does have has a change direction in horror genre, in horror genre. But I guess because I guess as I said, it seemed to be more sensible to have a girl, I guess, having a girl, I guess, going through an ordeal like that. I get what I guess sensationalize the audience, but in years following The Exorcist, you would see a trope in movies that kind of seem formulaic at times, as you would see a slew of, I guess, Exorcist trope movies throughout the rest of the decade. I could try and pull some of these up. They had several I guess possession movie, I guess trope movies. One was Beyond the Door. Well, they actually did as a parody of The Exorcist. They did in Turkey. That came out in 1974. A movie called Satan, and it was completely based off the Turkish movie based off The Exorcist. And they cover every scene from the original Exorcist, American Exorcist. Then in 1974, you had a movie called Beyond Doors. Doors that was also loosely based off The Exorcist, and it has in the premise involves a pregnant woman that it's kind of a mixture of both Exorcist and Rosemary Baby. A pregnant lady gives birth to goes through demonic possession after being pregnant with a demonic child or something. I forget exactly how the story goes.
The door. A terrifying look into demonic possession.
George, you can help me, George. Take me away from here. Mommy!
And as you see right here, a copy off the head splitting scene exactly from The Exorcist. Actually, interestingly, the movie got into a lot of hot water as I think Warner Brothers sued the movie for is copying their premise of the film, mainly because the head spinning scene and the reference to pea soup, which in the original Exorcist they used pea soup as a special fact of the green vomit that it was portrayed in the movie.
Beyond the door. Step inside. If you dare.
Yeah, but really, it's pretty much the similar premise of The Exorcist. Even though some will argue that it's not directly related to the film, though it does have some references. But it's pretty much a story about a lady that goes through goes through I guess demonic possession, sickness and demonic possession after giving birth to a child. Child. Another movie you had was The Night Child. I think it's a British film, which is also about a girl possessed by the devil.
One day, an innocent little girl. One night, something else. Possessed beyond the darkness, beyond the devil. The Night Child. Rated R.
And you had Kathy's Curse in 1977.
Kathy was 9 years old when she became an unholy terror. Kathy's curse. Look into her eyes of her.
My wife's just had another attack.
Don't make her angry, or Kathy will strike back and drive you right out of your mind.
I sent Mommy to the madhouse. The butler's scared to death. I threw...
And which again is kind of the same premise. A young girl was possessed by I'm not sure if it was even considered a demonic spirit, but she's possessed by an evil spirit that spirit from a past event and he even has here that super unshamed French Canadian Exorcist ripoff, which is again pretty much what it is. I think it's pretty much just a similar premise of The Exorcist, like much of these other movies I just shown you. I forgot you had another movie I saw, Demon Witch Child. Not sure what happened to the audio in this. And this movie is also pretty much another rep of The Exorcist, and but involves a cult. A late witch doctor gives her lady a necklace.
You're a very pretty little girl. Did I scare you?
My daddy says I shouldn't speak to strangers. It'd be best if you go away. He says it's dangerous.
And take away the present I brought for you?
I don't know you.
I've got a beautiful little doll for you. His name is Ascator.
Okay, let me see it.
He wants to be your friend, but it's our secret. I'll give him to you if you promise to hide him and not show him to anyone.
Are you serious?
He's yours. Swear that you won't show him to anyone. Swear to me.
I swear it.
You can only play with him when you're alone in your room. We'll hide him in here. This is Ascator's necklace. Only his friends have one like it. If anyone asks you, tell them you found it. Don't let anyone take it away from you. And don't. Yes, of course.
This is fit. So no.
Hey there, Susan. It's time to get up, honey.
One thing again.
But where are you? Here's your breakfast. It's a beautiful day outside.
One thing these movies all have in common is usually again, as I said, usually someone of a usually someone that's young, usually female, usually very attractive looking, very affluent, very fluent, has a European background, European setting, and setting in this setting is usually white. Usually they're given some type of doll, necklace, amulet, or curse that puts them in some I guess unleashes something, and it draws to them, attaches themselves to them, takes over, possesses them, and usually a powerful force has to try and conquer the evil. Usually something of religious faith, and usually the religious faith is usually of a Catholic faith, or the Catholic faith. It gets also reflecting the dominance of Catholicism as well. And that rids them of the unclean evil spirit. And these movies tend to be, as I said, very formulaic, kind of the same trope again from The Exorcist. And as I said, it's mostly, these movies deal with mostly white women, young women, and with one exception, they did do a black exploitative movie called Abby in 1974, just a year after The Exorcist came. And it's the only black movie film that depicts possession of someone who depicts a black female. And then I don't know any other movies that really feature anyone black, or possession that features anyone of color.
This was Abby. This was Abby. A woman loved and in love until that night. Then something evil came looking for a soul to possess.
I can't stop thinking about your husband.
That creep. Forget him. Was this Abby? Now the fun starts.
Hold her! Hear me, demon. Leave this woman's body!
I actually watched the movie on Halloween. It was a pretty interesting movie, interesting take on a classic horror movie. Though, like I said, I think it was just a movie that, like, they did Scream, Blacklist, Scream, which was a take on the Universal horror movies of Dracula. This was pretty much like a black cinematic theatrical version of The Exorcist, which I think is pretty decent and interesting, but a lot of it's, I think, pretty parallel to The Exorcist. But again, this reflects the period of the 70s where it was a lot of movies, possession trope movies, and even movies today, it's the same trope. Usually female, again, mostly white, young females, sometimes living on alone or with family, single. It doesn't. I guess there's no exception to it, to the root. I guess the tropes, but they pretty much all the same. But even not only in film and television, spoofs are also done as well, particularly with soap operas, such as in the also 70s sitcom Soap did this too. trying to pull it up. But Soap, the show, Soap had an episode involved. It was like a mixture of Exorcist and Rosemary Baby, a baby that was possessed by the devil.
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words,
Never give up. Never. There is not a man or a spirit in this world or any other that will break my family. We've lived through too much in our lives already to give it all up to you. We've lived through sorrow and separation and death and destruction. And we're still together because we love each other. And love is what holds us together. So, if you intend to stay, we will fight you to the end. And let me tell you, we will fight. And with God's help, you will never have us. And you will never have this baby. Never. You have come to the wrong house.
And Today's Our Lives also featured a possession skit, which also marks the 60th anniversary of Days of Our Lives. Marlena Evans, it features an episode of features the nurse Marlena Evans.
Dostar, Kristen Chelis.
I mean, them use tropes, elements from The Exorcist, including the levitation scene. This was in the early 90s, but then they revised the possession elements again to 2021. They revised the possession element in 2021. It features several characters in Days of Our Lives possessed. I can't really find all the videos of that of these episodes, but that just shows you how the theme tropes have been recycled and reused over the years in I guess in film and particular horror, in the horror genre. And it just interesting. Well, it's not really anything new. I think people also touched upon this as well, that in documentaries I've seen that women tend to be, I guess, associated with the I guess with the being, I guess, in the grip of demonic forces. Well, I'm not saying that's the case with every women in general, but it's in pop culture that's often depicted a lot in these movies. And just to seem like I thought maybe an interesting topic to discuss. I mean, as an observing topic to discuss about, although I don't really talk about this type of subject that often because of the content of the subject, but that's all I have to say on this subject. This is an interview by Chase Pounds. I plan to discuss about the review of the movie When Time Ran Out pretty soon. Soon for this month, at least before the year is up. And that was kind of the end of my late Halloween edition. I was trying to do it on time of the holiday, but I was preoccupied with other things. But this is another video by Chase Pounds. Stay tuned for my next video.